He won't arrive with horns and a pitchfork. He won't be a monster. The greatest trick of the Antichrist, according to a German nun who saw his face 200 years ago, is that he will be beautiful. He will be compassionate. He will speak of unity, peace, and a new kind of tolerance. He will be everything the modern world is crying out for. And he will lead millions into a darkness they willingly embrace, believing it to be the light. This isn't a horror movie script. It's the detailed, terrifying prophecy of Blessed Anne Catherine Emmerich, a woman whose visions laid out a master plan for the end of days. A plan that may be unfolding right now. And if you're not paying attention to the warnings she left behind, you might just be one of the people who welcomes him with open arms. It's so important we understand these things. So if you want to uncover more hidden truths like this, make sure to subscribe and join our community of seekers. So who was this woman who claimed to see the future? Her name was Anne Catherine Emmerich. Born in 1774 to a family of poor farmers in Westphalia, she was anything but ordinary. From a young age, she claimed to have visions, not just of angels and saints, but of the entire life of Christ, in vivid, brutal detail. She became an Augustinian nun, but her life took a dramatic turn when she became permanently bedridden. It was then that the stigmata appeared, the bleeding wounds of Christ's crucifixion, manifesting on her own body. Doctors, priests, and skeptics came from all over Europe to examine her. They couldn't explain it. For the last 12 years of her life, she consumed almost no food, surviving, she claimed, on the Eucharist alone. Her visions were meticulously transcribed by a poet named Clemens Brentano, filling thousands of pages with prophecies about the past, present, and a chillingly specific future for the Church and the world. At the heart of her warning was a terrifying vision, the emergence of two churches existing at the same time. One was the real church, the one she knew. But alongside it, she saw another one growing, a counterfeit church, a church of darkness. She described it as a church of human opinion, not of faith. It was clever, accommodating, and empty. In her own words, she saw a dark, shabby-looking church being built in Rome. It had nothing of the divine. It was a place of division, where altars were destroyed and replaced with tables, where doctrines were changed to please the crowds, and where everything was about man, not God. This wasn't a separate building, but an insidious influence growing within the very walls of the true church, creating confusion and leading the faithful astray with a message that sounded good, but was hollow and dead inside. This vision of a divided church was made even more disturbing by another prophecy. She saw two popes. She described a vision where she saw a pope who was at once pious and firm. But he was very old and afflicted. She saw the immense sorrow this pope endured as the church was torn apart from within. But then, she saw another figure. She described the fatal relationship between this false church and a dark man, a new pope who would preside over the Church of Darkness. This second figure would be instrumental in furthering the great deception. Her vision spoke of a time of such great confusion that even the most devout would struggle to know who the true shepherd was. One representing tradition and faith, the other representing a new, worldly religion. This specific prophecy has made researchers and theologians look very closely at our own times, wondering if we are living in the age she foresaw. So what would this counterfeit church teach? According to Emmerich, its primary weapon would be a twisted form of compassion. It would be a religion of humanitarianism where sin is no longer called sin, but a misunderstanding. Where absolute truth is called bigotry. She saw a religion that would accommodate every belief, blending them all into a bland, inoffensive spirituality that demanded nothing and promised everything. It would mock ancient traditions, sacraments, and devotions as outdated. It would promote a God that never judges, a heaven that everyone gets into, and a truth that changes with the times. The goal was to create a one-world religion, not by force, but by making the real faith seem so rigid, so old-fashioned, and so unloving that people would abandon it willingly for something more comfortable and modern. And who would lead this new world religion? The Antichrist himself. Emmerich's vision of his origin is specific and unsettling. She saw that he would be born into a debased and corrupted world, possibly of a disgraced nun or a similar background, symbolizing a complete perversion of the sacred. He would be possessed by Satan from a young age. But he wouldn't appear evil. He would be a master of science and knowledge, educated by the very clergy who had fallen into the trap of the counterfeit church. He would have an almost supernatural ability to charm and persuade. He would use technology and media to spread his message of false hope. He would solve complex global problems, seemingly bringing peace to warring nations and prosperity to the poor, all while secretly consolidating his power and preparing the world for his ultimate revelation. His master plan is not one of conquest, but of seduction. He will not declare war on religion. He will become its head. He will say, "All your gods are the same. All your paths lead to me. Let us stop fighting and be one." He will perform false miracles, wonders so convincing that they will deceive, if possible, even the elect. He will offer a world without suffering, but the price will be a world without God. He will promise freedom, but deliver a subtle, all-encompassing slavery, where every thought and action is monitored for the common good. The Bible, according to Emmerich's vision, would be twisted and rewritten by him to support his own claims. He will be the ultimate wolf in sheep's clothing, the great humanitarian who is secretly the great destroyer. What happens to those who see through the deception? Emmerich's visions showed a time of great trial and persecution, but it wouldn't be a simple, overt war. It would be a social and psychological one. Those who held to the traditional faith would be labeled as hateful, divisive, and dangerous. They would be ostracized from society, lose their jobs, and be publicly shamed. The true church would be forced underground, becoming a church of the catacombs once again. She saw small pockets of believers clinging to the truth, protected by angels, while the rest of the world celebrated its new, false Messiah. It would be a time when faith is tested by fire, when standing for truth means losing everything the world has to offer. It's easy to dismiss these as the fever dreams of a sick woman from 200 years ago. But you have to ask yourself, does any of this sound familiar? A world where objective truth is questioned. A push for a global, unified system of belief. A society that values comfort and tolerance above all else, even truth. A time of deep confusion within religious institutions. Anne Catherine Emmerich wasn't just predicting a single man. She was describing a spirit, an ideology, a master plan that would slowly and patiently prepare the ground for his arrival. She was giving a warning. She was describing the symptoms of the disease so that we might recognize it before it's too late. The question is not whether her prophecy will come true, but whether we are already living in the early stages of it. But her prophecies were not meant to simply inspire fear. They were a call to arms, a spiritual call to arms. She also saw the ultimate triumph of the true church. She saw that after the great persecution, the faith would be purified and would shine brighter than ever before. Her message is not one of despair, but of perseverance. It's a reminder that even in the darkest times, when deception seems to reign supreme, there will always be a remnant holding onto the truth. The story of Anne Catherine Emmerich is a profound warning about the nature of evil. It doesn't always announce itself. Often, it comes with a smile, a helping hand, and a promise of a better world. The challenge for us is to have the wisdom to look past the beautiful mask and see the reality beneath. What part of her vision do you find most chilling or most relevant to today? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks for watching.